Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the
FM 102.3, the village of Mount Solon, Virginia. Counties throughout Virginia that are communist run are passing restrictions on people's right to carry. This is before the election. They want to be able to set up zones where they could hopefully have rally points where it'll be a crime to infiltrate with a weapon. Fairfax County. Action item number 5 in the Virginia Citizens Defense League bulletin this morning. Breaks down how the county council is breaking from their usual steps to rush the gun ban through on Tuesday, September 15th. Fairfax County is your suburb like Arlington and Alexandria to the communists inside the Beltway. They're going to be bringing out the communists in permitted actions. And they won't just throw Molotov cocktails at the police. They're going to start throwing them through windows in the houses. If you live in Fairfax County, Arlington, Charlottesville, Richmond, you need to be paying attention to who's watching you, especially if you're one of the people in the political party or you're an advocate for conservative ideas. You will be targeted by these mobs. And they're going to use the police not to protect your house, but the police are going to be there to protect the mob. Because the mob plans on throwing Molotov cocktails through your homes and burning you out. And it's oops if you're inside and die. There's no remorse from these people. They're here on this planet and they hate themselves. They hate themselves more than you can imagine. It's a depth that only Machiavelli understood. Their hatred. Their hatred towards their fellow man. Your life, your liberties, and your property are under assault. It hasn't ended. 19 years ago. 19 years ago. 20 years ago. Mass trauma occurred across this nation. A new trauma is being inflicted upon the people. And that trauma is your individuality, your self-confidence, and your mental health. The reason we don't wear masks in the West is the same reason they wear masks in the Arab world. It's to set up the haves and the have-nots. And the have-nots have to be controlled. If you're wearing a mask, you're not a politician or a bureaucrat, you're a have-not. Politicians and bureaucrats are wearing masks to train you. They're willing to hurt themselves because they have so much hatred. They're wearing a mask. They know it's hurting them. Everybody on this planet knows that masks are hurting them. Just like when Donald Trump supposedly talked to Woodward and said that he's downplaying the flu virus or coronavirus or the COVID-19 simulation. We all knew what the poop was. The poop was coming out of China and out of Europe, that it was incredibly deadly. Well, it was incredibly deadly to people. And evidence shows that it was intentional murder of people. And maybe in China it was all theater, being Wuhan theater, the new Wuhan Hollywood. It's pretty shocking to watch people dying. It was pretty shocking to watch trucks drive through the streets spraying. It's pretty shocking to watch walking armies with bug sprayers and fumigators. Donald Trump received the same briefings that we all did. Donald Trump is surrounded by people who lie, cheat, and steal. He's looked into the abyss. He is the abyss. Every move he makes, the people who hate life, liberty, and property, they condemn it. They condemn every move he makes. It's regardless. If he steps right, they tell him he should have stepped left. If he steps back, they call him a coward for not confronting and going forward. We're dealing with Mao's little red book and Saul Alinsky's leadership. Like I said, everybody knew what Trump knew. It wasn't in Revelation. Those of you who pewed out words of conspiracy theory and downplayed it, those who called people who were alarmed by what we were seeing in China and in Europe, calling them cowards and fear, and say they were full of fear, while they ran down to Chinatown with Pelosi and hugged people, because it doesn't matter whether or not they're telling you the truth, whether the information is correct or wrong. It's all one giant mind fuck. And now counties in Virginia are preparing a corridor on 95 of Bolshevik uprisings. They're going to be going into those suburbs, indiscriminately taking people out. We all know what happened in Portland. Everybody who's got an ear to the ground and an eye to see on the horizon understands the insurgency. They failed at their attempt to set up a 17-year-old. He whipped their ass. But in Portland, they successfully executed an American for having the gall to think that he's an individual in a free country and he has the rights to life, liberty, and property. And those communist scum took away his most precious property, his earthly vessel. For gun controllers, the end justifies the means. They will lie, cheat, and steal to get their way. We know it is to disarm the population so that they may steal your property in your life's time at will. In the case of Fairfax County, which has had no problems with gun owners in their parks, our parks there, buddy, it's not their parks. They've had no problem with gun owners in the common way. The Board of Supervisors is ignoring their normal protocols in order to push forward the gun ban agenda at warp speed. In a newsletter to constituents, the lone voice of reason on the board, Supervisor Harity said that normally major ordinance changes are sent to a committee for careful study. Because we out here in the valley, we know what an ordinance is. It could be anything from setting a fire to a flashbang to a projectile that pierces your heart. An ordinance, military law, code. Ordinances are used on the people, and the people who use the ordinances follow a code. However, that was not done for the total gun ban ordinance being voted on next Tuesday. Harity voted against moving forward with the proposed ban and is doing his best to fight back. Even duck hunters are affected. Fuck the duck hunters by this ridiculous ordinance, as they must launch their boats from a park. It's not about anything other than destroying America. The action items that they give you from VDLC to sign up to speak on the proposed gun ban. No. You shouldn't go there to speak. You should go down there and surround the courthouse with what will be taken away from you eventually. You don't have to go in. You surround it. Go surround the houses of each one of the supervisors. Because if you don't go there and let them know that it's not tolerable what they're doing, they're going to kill you. They are going to send people in wearing Fairfax County police uniforms to kill you. They're going to permit the riot, and the police will be there, and they're going to go for the low-hanging fruit, and eventually they're going to be burning people out of their houses in Fairfax. And if you come out of your house, you're in a permitted action, so you're not allowed to have a gun to protect yourself. So if they ban the guns, they can throw Molotov cocktails. Have you seen a single police officer shoot someone holding a Molotov cocktail? No. The police have spotters on roofs if they're down on the ground too, right? They have helicopters. They should have been, as soon as somebody behind a wall of people lit a Molotov cocktail, everybody in front of that Molotov cocktail should have been mowed down. That's a military operation. I don't care if you stack sandbags or stack meat puppets. They're part of the military operation. The killing of the Patriot Prayer member was a military operation. They're rethinking what they're doing now. They have to. Since the meeting is being held virtually in the Board of Supervisors auditorium, we should pack the auditorium as much as possible. Yeah. VDLC, you lost all your ground when you first went into the cage. None of you should have gone into the cage down on 1/20/2020. None of you. You agreed that they had control over you. You lost the ground. You might have had the comms, but they came out and giggled at you, waved to you from their perch. Yeah, those were your friends. And then the Republican Party of Virginia rolled over, prostrated itself like the sheep they are, and let the communists eat their guts. Every mask being worn by a Republican at this point is the sign of submission. It's not patriotic to submit. It's patriotic to stand up against the aggressors. China is winning this war on America. The first rule of any war is to know when you're in a fight. And we're in a fight. We're at war. You don't need the communists to declare war on the communists. They're never going to do that. It's not going to happen. Now, anybody who's done any time in the military or has even done any kind of reading of books on military actions, maybe played some military games online, knows that before you attack, you create diversions and concealment. And right now, the western part of the United States is being concealed. And we're being diverted. If you care to look on Google, DuckDuckGo, or Yandex, these fires are being intentionally put off by arsonists, soldiers. This is coordinated. We have reports of large explosions. Of course, some of it's propane tanks in the fires. Others are intentional settings of fires, destroying of infrastructure. And if you live in Fairfax County and you're going to stay there, you better start camping out at the houses of those council members. You need to surround their houses in their neighborhoods. You need to run them out of Fairfax, because it's the godly thing to do. You guys shun each other in your Christian fake churches all the time. You shun people out. It's time you shun the council out. And in Fairfax County, Those council members are supposed to have a signed bond of oath of office. Unless they wiped their ass with it and rewrote it, they're supposed to be protecting life, liberty, and property, and they're not supposed to trespass on the social agreement. Now, the ones who are voting for this are trespassing on the social agreement. So when they trespass on the social agreement, you have cause in circuit court in Fairfax and standing to go after them for violating the emoluments. They were given an office and compensation in return for their promise and bond of the oath of office. That's an emolument violation. Good luck, Fairfax. Good luck, Arlington. Too bad, Alexandria. So if you go through a checkpoint and you've got a gun, they're going to take it away from you in these counties eventually. And they know if you do. They know I have one because I have my concealed carry out of Fairfax County. Be interesting if they're going to stop issuing them. But if anybody wants to take your teeth out of your mouth, it's so that you can't bite them. So you're weaker than they are. Every council member who votes for a gun ban is a predator. And I'm so sorry that you people are so stupid that you don't know that you're the prey. Jeffrey McKay, Chairman. Fairfax County Council. Penelope A. Gross. Or Gross. Mason District. They like to call themselves supervisors. James R. Walkinshaw, supervisor. Braddock District. John F. Faust, Drainsville District. Walter L. Alcorn, Hunter Mill. Rodney L. Lusk, Lee District. Dan Stork, Mount Vernon District. Dahlia A. Palchik, Providence District. Pat Harity, Springfield District. Kathy Smith, Sully District. Now, Patrick Harity is just putting up the bat signal. That doesn't mean he won't vote for gun control. But, you know, the devil's got to get you to agree to his plan. Arlington's going to vote on Saturday. So that's going to put a ring of gun control around D.C. Each one of the parks is a staging area for the Bolsheviks. They will use the parks in Fairfax. They'll flash mob in the parks and then move into the suburbs and into the communities. And you're going to see exactly what they did in Portland, in Fairfax. You have Occupy DC occurring this month. You guys are all shouting into the void, thinking that you're going to do anything with that council. The only thing that those council people know is when they're being violent, force works because they're cowards. None of these people who are voting to ban guns will personally come out and take your weapon. Nope. They send their dogs out to do the work. Passing resolutions. You guys are all discussing whether the Titanic is sinking. Now, you can measure how far the Titanic has sunk. And if Fairfax County and Arlington County aren't willing to go stand around those council members or those supervisors' homes and tell them no, you're allowed to peacefully assemble. See, just tell them no. Don't get in cages. No one showing up and saying nothing to those people is the biggest message. You should just surround it. And everybody should be doing exactly what the Bolsheviks are doing, is making a list, checking it twice, because they plan to come out and kill you. They are surveilling people throughout the United States. And you people who think that your masks are protecting you because you're afraid of what your neighbor says, and you call yourself a Christian, a Republican, a conservative, you're brain damaged. I don't care. Come on down to the square and grab me. It's your choice. I haven't played along with the fraud. When President Trump was talking to Woodward, I knew what President Trump knew, and anybody else who cared and wasn't solipsistic and wasn't cavalier knew what was going on, and that we were under attack. We're still under attack. The Chinese wrote papers in their military colleges and did speeches about launching a biological attack on America, getting the Americans to submit. And now the crisis is underway, and the Chinese are coming to normalize you. They've already seeded in your head the new normal. When are things going to go back to normal? No, it's going to be normalized. You people have been programmed by the Bolsheviks. Everything the defectors told you about since the 50s, before the 50s, is being used against you. Every single one of the people in Richmond who voted to trespass on an absolute line in the sand has violated their emolument clause. And I don't care if they have a Democrat in front of their name or a Republican in front of their name. They violated their emolument clause. That's their bond. Everybody has standing. As long as you have not registered to vote. If If you've registered to vote in Virginia, you are a ward to be fought over by the representatives you voted into office. They're fighting over you. They're all claiming to be protecting you, to do this for you, to do that for you. I went over to Route 11, got myself a barbecue from a guy sitting in the truck. And he told me he's wearing a mask because he has to wear it to buy and sell. He's not a Christian. Not a Christian. So, I'm the devil. I tell you that you're going to take a mark of the beast in order to buy and sell. And at the same time, I pretend that I care about you. Not only do I dissect babies alive without comfort, but I tell you, they're in comfort. As soon as you don't love something, that's disease. That's not comfort. Treat it like a caged animal. Or as a caged animal. I'm going to come back after ripping out hearts, minds, all the organs I can, draining the blood. Then I'm going to tell you that I care about you, and I'm going to help you stay alive here. Put this on. It doesn't restrict your oxygen. It doesn't build up acidosis and CO2 levels in the beginning of your digestive tract, in your breathing tract, your respiratory system. No. And we're not going to create a media that will be replete with bacteria. No. That's not happening. Actually, you're saving the world. And I'm such a man as the devil that I've convinced you to put this apparatus on to buy and sell, because you're showing compassion for your neighbor by killing yourself. Not only have I convinced you that this mark on your face, taking away your identity, showing your submission. No. I'm going to get you to pay me to put the mark on your face. That's right. I'm going to get you to pay me. Yep. Only the devil could be so diabolical. And then I'm going to hire the man who sold the Communist Chinese military the technology that will enable them to have battlefield supremacy while fighting you. He'll be in charge of tracing you and tracking you and rounding you up. Yes, I will just throw it all in your face because, hey, you don't believe I exist. The devil doesn't exist. No, he's not there. No, it's an allegory. It's all just meant for you to understand your relationship with the Creator. And by the way, lying is okay because the end justifies the means. VCDL, you don't take it all the way. You need to stop yammering about treating these seditious, domestic terrorists with any respect. You should take your cue from the insurgency. And a show of force is the only thing they understand. It was the fear of force being used against their violence that has kept them in check. Not anymore. Now they're going to throw them in Virginia at us. They've already been doing it in Richmond. The crime rates in Fairfax County is skyrocketing. Crime rate in Arlington, skyrocketing. Home invasions, break-ins into cars, skyrocketing. Alexandria. Instead of your supervisors rallying around your life, liberty, and property, they're going to make it easier for the insurgents to fund themselves and dominate you and terrorize you. I believe the biggest church in Virginia is in Fairfax County. And if they haven't mobilized that church to stand up for every Fairfax County resident's life, liberty, and property, they're in league with the devil. They've sold their soul. Because that church exists because there was a social contract. And that social contract guarantees our use of force. Overwhelming force on those who would violate the emolument clause and betray the people. So how are they going to prove anybody's vote is valid in Virginia? Trucks are dropping off ballots in parking lots to be filled, to be gathered up by the communists, to be filled out. And in all these counties, just like in West Virginia, the registrar knew who was the Republican, who was the Democrat. The surveillance of what you are is done. Hey, Morris Heating and Cooling Incorporated. You need to repair the highway that you just tore up by slamming on your brakes coming to the square at 40 miles an hour. Anyway, they know who it is. They're filling out ballots on behalf of every Republican. And they're voting the Republican line, I imagine. And then you Republicans are all going to go to the polls in person. If they haven't already counted the vote in Virginia, which I'm sure they're going to hold back, they're going to hold it back. You're going to go to the poll, possibly to find out that somebody's already voted in your name. I'm sure there's going to be fights at the poll about that. Now, if they've already counted your vote in your name, I'm sure it's a Democrat vote. But if they haven't counted your voting yet, it's a Republican vote they're going to bring out. So that you go to vote, you go to there, and then all of a sudden they find a vote cast as all Republican in your name. Because how do they know that whether or not you voted? Right? You have to fill it out, put your name on the vote, and then cast it, which is by far the most honorable thing to do. Is let your yeas be yeas and your nays be nays, and anything done in secret is criminal. Right? Judas? Votes done in secret ballot. That's the Bolshevik thing. Criminals do things in secret. You want to know who wants your life, wants your liberty, and envies your property? They're the ones who are pro-secret ballot. They're the ones mailing ballots, being distributed to everybody. But if your name's been put down, has already gotten an absentee ballot, and you go to vote, your vote's going to be nullified. Right? Every fraudulent vote or every voter fraud done is a trespass on your property. You've sold your life for a vote. And now they're taking your vote away from you. Read the Virginia Constitution. They don't stand with flags behind them without tassels. And tassels mean martial law. I don't care what you say about that. And anybody who's a lawyer and tells you that's not true and that flags don't matter, they're criminals. They're liars. And the Virginia Constitution says, well, we ought not to declare emergencies. But they've already done that. They've declared emergencies. And as soon as they declared emergency and you're a registered voter, they can do whatever they want with you. And subconsciously, maybe you already know that, and that's why you're wearing masks to buy and sell. Because you know you sold your birthright for a vote, for the opportunity to give your opinion. Because it's all it is an opinion. You go to the polls to give your opinion. You stand at the polls. It's an opinion. You don't know, and there's no proof of any way anybody voted. So, I do propose a solution. It's that you open up a case in Augusta County, and that case is at the circuit court, and everybody, after paying whatever it costs to open a case, then everybody should put their affidavit in as to who they're electing in what positions. Don't go to the polls, because it's the circuit court that counts and takes the vote. It'll give you the moral authority to stand up and put down this rebellion and the trespassers. It won't be a real shield, but it'll be a moral shield. It'll be the line in the sand. Because if Augusta County and Fairfax County people file into the court in a court case an affidavit of who they voted for. And that doesn't match what the polls say. Moral justification. It takes courage to stand up for principle. It took courage for Jesus to roll through the synagogue or the temple and whip the money changers, chase out the Pharisees. And these Pharisees are running your lives. We have to chase them out. Jesus led by example. You guys stand up to it. We all have our Judases in our midst. But watch the watchers. Pay attention.
Prepare to defend yourself!